Hey YouTube, back again with another Bible study. This week I will be focusing on what I perceive to be the differences between evil, sin, and iniquity. I've come to these understandings through reading various philosophical and religious works, uh, such as works by C.S. Lewis, the Urantia Foundation, and a lot of others. Um, I'm making this video with the hopes of getting you guys to think deeper about these topics and to share my current understandings. Whether or not this knowledge is useful for your spiritual journey is up to you. So let's look at Matthew 7, verse 11 here. If ye then, being evil, know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father which is in heaven give good things to them that ask him? So, in this verse, we see the term evil. It's my belief that evil is the unconscious violation of the Father's will, and that evil measures our imperfectness in obeying God's divine law. We'll get more into this later on in the video. Let's go on to sin. We all know the verse, the wages of sin is death. Sin, on the other hand, I believe is the conscious and deliberate violation of the Father's will. It's kind of like our unwillingness to be divinely led by the Spirit. And if we're not divinely led by the Spirit, that results in sin. So now let's go to Ezekiel. I think I have it bookmarked here. Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 15. Thou wast perfect in thy ways from the day thou wast created, till iniquity was found in thee. So as you may know, iniquity was Lucifer's sin. And I'm under the impression that iniquity is the flat out determined and persistent violation of the Father's law. It's like a steadfast rejection of God's loving and merciful administration, even going as far as to reject personal salvation. Okay, so now that we kind of outlined the three, basic kind of Cole's Notes versions of evil, sin, and iniquity. Sorry, I dropped the microphone there. I kind of want to delve further into this issue and apply these understandings to man. Man is indeed subject to evil tendencies. However, I don't think these tendencies are necessarily sin or iniquity. We can take into consideration primitive man. Like many of their rituals, we look back on today as barbaric or sinful. But they were enacted by men who were without knowledge of God's way. And they were really abound in the confusion brought on by the Lucifer rebellion. And this is another topic that I really want to get into in a future video. Probably I'll make a longer one on that one. But primitive man really did believe these evil rituals, like human sacrifice and all that, were needed, and in a lot of cases for the benefit of the entire tribe or nation. So we can see that their acts may not have been conscious and deliberate violations of the Father's will, because that will hasn't been revealed to them. So yes, those acts are evil, but they are not necessarily sinful or iniquitous. It's my belief that man is not a child of the evil one. unless he deliberately chooses the life of iniquity fueled by sin. So you have to ask ourselves, why do people kind of think of man in this real negative light? One of the main beliefs of the whole Judeo-Christian scene that I think is a huge misconception is the idea that man has degenerated over time to its present state from a perfect Adam. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. And even in Genesis itself, like Genesis 4:16 even says that Cain went to the land of Nod to get a wife. And then in Genesis 6:2, it talks about the sons of God mated with the daughters of man. So to me, that just shows there's a lot of other people on the earth at that time, and that we're in this whole idea of this perfect Adam and the descendancy. I have my own interpretation on that, but I'll save that for another video. That's a pretty important topic as well, because it kind of sets the stage on some of the beliefs that are floating around the Christian world right now. I believe that through the baptism of the Spirit and the calling to do the Father's will, whose will was gloriously revealed to us through Jesus, that man begins his long ascent to spiritual perfection. And the salvation granted by God gives us an eternity to accomplish this goal. So I think it's almost flipped. Like not coming from a complete perfect state in Adam, just constantly degenerating down. But once we've been given the baptism of the Spirit and the calling to do the Father's will, it becomes an ascent to God, which again we have all eternity to accomplish. So in closing, I'm a firm believer in that men are not children of the evil one. In contrary, it's through faith and devotion to the Father's will, revealed through Jesus, that we become a faith son of God. So it's the completely opposite. But I can get into this topic a lot more. I just kind of wanted to do this as an introductory video. So that's all I have for this week. Thanks for watching. Feel free to agree or disagree. I'm always open to differing interpretations. If there's any topics you would like me to cover in my next video, leave them in the comment section. Have a great day, and God bless.